seated. First, I'd like to say that Kira Macedon and people like Igor and Freddie and Felix, who were in the same class, you guys were lucky. I never had a teacher like Dr. Edward Teller, the father of the Heidegger, about teaching science. You guys had the best. And of course, I heard today that you also had Dr. Mamaday. The Pulitzer Prize I got you from Stanford. I mean, these kinds of teachers I never had. And I went to a Jewish high school just like this. So you guys were lucky. Kira Macedon, from what I remember, and I have a picture, I have an album, somebody made me an album, and her picture is in the album. I think we sent it to her. I think she was about 16, 17, smiling, full of life, an excellent student. And she added a lot to the atmosphere of the school. We had kids full of life and full of the devil. And they were exciting times. The kids now are wonderful. They became a little bit Americanized, not so full of the devil. But then it was exciting. And Kira was a very smart young woman, and I had the picture at home, smiling, and of course, she graduated, and she went to Berkeley, and I'll read to you the little biography that I have. She attended the Lisa Hebrew Academy, went to UC Berkeley, and from there to tech industry. Kira is a serial entrepreneur and a seasoned Silicon Valley executive. She has been on the forefront of high-tech, on the high-tech revolution, and pioneered a number of disruptive tech ventures. Currently, Kira is a Ring Central's Executive Vice President of Innovation. Prior to joining Ring Central, Kira founded and served as the CEO of Red Ariel. But I'll tell you the most important thing. And those of you who remember my classes on Friday, I used to tell you, I don't care if you go to Harvard, or to Stanford, or to Berkeley, or you become an executive in a big company. If you're not going to be nice, if you're not going to be decent, never come to see me. I'm not interested. The most important thing is to be a decent human being. And that's our success. The people who are sitting here in this room, every one of them, I hug them and I kiss them because I love them, because they're decent, wonderful human beings. And Kira is that kind of a person. Kira, please come up.
Dear friends, I prepared a little speech as Yana asked me to, and it kind of reflects on some of my time at the Hebrew Academy. First of all, I am humbled and honored to speak with you, to be here. I won't say how many years later after I attended the school and a few of my classmates here. The school was basically, we landed in San Francisco, my family and I, and I think maybe 3 days later, my parents took me to the Hebrew Academy. And you want me to adjust this? Okay, this is better. And a Hebrew Academy became my home. I took the bus, I think, to school or walked, and that is, these were my basically first year to the United States, first year here as a teenager. So what I'd like to start with is to talk to you about the fundamentals of knowing who you are and confidence in knowing who you are. Your roots are especially important, and growing up as an immigrant, adolescent in a new country, it was difficult. Coming from Russia, Hebrew Academy helped me understand my roots, history, values. While at Hebrew Academy, I, like many others of my classmates, went through a discovery period, almost defiance, and understandably so, after growing up in the Soviet Union, a place where they wanted us to be like every child had to be like every other child. A place where schools taught us to conform. Schools did not allow for us to be individuals. In fact, individualism was squashed for some better good. Religion persecuted, and Jews pretended to be Gentiles. So, what I learned at the Hebrew Academy is I learned who I am, where my ancestors came from, their struggles, and quest for knowledge. This gave me confidence and a Jewish identity. I always look back at my days at the Hebrew Academy with fondness, at a place that welcomed me and made me feel like home. An environment that fostered learning through understanding. A school where every teacher was your friend. And I remember many of my teachers. Some of them I recently connected to on Facebook. A place where I really felt cared for, looked after, encouraged, and given an opportunity to grow up to be myself. And that is the key point, and it took me a while to understand that. It took me years of bringing up my own kids to understand what it means to be in an environment where you're allowed to be yourself and discover yourself. An environment that mitigates the natural need of an adolescent to conform to peer pressure and allows one to mature unencumbered by fears and insecurities, ultimately leading a way for leaders to develop. And I think this is why so many of Hebrew Academy graduates, students, alumni do so well in life. Their careers, their academic endeavors, whether they're Ivy League schools or not Ivy League schools, whatever they do well. And it's something I think that Rabbi Liebner just said. It's because we were taught how to become good people. We were taught that to be a person is more important than to be anything else, be a successful entrepreneur, good student. You have to be a person. And that, I think all of us, and I think my classmates here who I see in the audience, share that. And talking about Hebrew Academy, it would probably be not complete without talking about what studying Torah taught me. Knowledge is key, and that is the tradition of our people. My first Torah teacher was incredible. He was a very patient man. And I cannot remember his name, but maybe Rabbi Liebner can help me. That is right. Thank you. I'm ready now. He brought very complex texts into concepts that we were able to internalize. These lessons were about history, ethics, and associative thinking. Often, it was like solving puzzles. Fascinating to realize how ancient texts hold the ultimate truths about our world, even today, no matter how technologically advanced we become. Maybe one of the most important things in learning and studying Torah that I took away is intellectual humility. No one has all the answers. And it's often more important to ask the right question than to have the right answer. Ability to step back and recognize when someone else has a better idea. Leadership is something that you are often not given. It's something that you step up to. It is the responsibility to others that you hold yourself accountable to. And in accepting that, you learn that being a leader is not entitlement. And that kind of goes back to intellectual humility. So, in summary, I really would like to thank Rabbi Littner and the faculty for giving me the opportunity to learn, to grow up, gain strengths that are critical for me and my family time. For me, this was a foundational and an unforgettable experience. It was just here an hour ago that we were remembering a few fun moments that we all shared at the school. That included Shabbat dinners where, as a Russian immigrant, I was introduced to what a Shabbat is. I didn't know. And it was my best friend's houses that I often spent Friday night and learned traditions of our people. It was the trip to Yosemite that we were taking on, I think maybe in my first year at the school. And for lunch, we were given peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I didn't know what a peanut butter and jelly sandwich was. And it all sounds funny, but it was true. And imagine the rabbis and the teachers who had to put up with all of us, who were constantly questioning everything that was going on, because we had no idea. We were just remembering our trip to somewhere north. I think we were going skiing or snowshoeing or something that equivalent. We were not prepared. We didn't have the right clothes. We didn't know what to do. And our teachers, our rabbis were patient. They made it seem so easy. And then there were a few incredible moments, like lessons with Dr. Teller, one of our classes in a lab that I think we had not in the school. I think we had to go to the San Francisco State University. Right, exactly. San Francisco State, there you go. And he was pushing us to experiment, and we had a little explosion in the lab. And there was one time that my best friend at the time, Sharona Hoffman, was at the hospital. So a bunch of us, I think maybe the entire class, basically walked out on our t-shirts and went to visit Sharona. And I tell you, only the Hebrew Academy could we get away with that. And it didn't, the fun and the ease went along with extreme academic excellence. Our class, my grade, was, I think, the very first high school grade, and we stopped at 11th grade. And from there, I went to Lowell High, and I honestly did not like it. I didn't like the large school. I didn't like the fact that it wasn't personal. I wanted out. I wanted back to Hebrew Academy. I wanted an environment where I could have access to my teachers, where I only had 12 students in the class. So I look at those days back with great fondness, and it was fun, it was challenging. We had to learn Hebrew, French, and English all at the same time. And it's an experience that I think I was privileged to, and I thank Rabbi Littner, I thank the school for allowing us to have this experience, for being who we are. And I think we would not have been, I know that I would not be the person who I am without that foundational experience, those high school years that taught me how to be a real person. Thank you.
Many people wonder